and memorabilia. So visit shop.tcm.com today and do check out my personal picks each month. I'll see you there.
I'm Robert Osborne. Tonight we've handed the TCM programming duties over to this month's guest programmer, writer and director Richard Linklater. And welcome back, Richard.
Great to be here.
Good to have you here. Richard's next choice is a film from Swedish filmmaker Ingmar Bergman. It's the Oscar-winning Best Foreign Language film of 1982, Fanny and Alexander. Great film. So glad you picked this.
Yeah.
Again, a film not that many people know.
Well, they should, because it's not only one of the most beautiful films ever made,
right,
just stunningly gorgeous, but it's one of the best films about a child's perspective on the world ever made also. So, you know, this beautiful recreation of 1906, you know, Sweden, this kind of lush childhood. This kid and his sister are living, and then the film, the tone shifts somewhere along there.
Right.
There's a death, a remarriage to a bishop. The film almost goes to black and white there and shifts, and it goes from this kind of joyous recreation to almost like a child's nightmare, and then it kind of comes together at the end. So it's a lengthy film, but it's just really one of the greatest films ever made.
Visually, certainly one of the, And it's unusual for Ingmar Bergman. I don't think he'd done that many color films before this.
It's different, and at the time he announced, you know, this is my last film. He was about 65. He had this incredible career. He was just going to do theater, and this was his kind of penultimate statement. And he had never really made films about children, ever, I don't think.
Right.
You know, he was the kind of black and white existential...
Lot of angst with the upper classes.
Yeah, I mean, he was the existential 50s, 60s guy, loss of faith, and godless world. You know, he was the poster child of that. Although, you know, there's a lot of variation within there, but that would be the cliche about him. And then toward the end, you know, right here, he makes this kind of joyous view of the world, particularly his childhood. I mean, it has all the same themes and demons floating around. But I think people who knew him had always told him, like, Ingmar, you're such a fun, you know, there's this part of your life you don't express in film. So he really said for once he wanted to kind of tap some of the joy that he does carry with him that he often doesn't put into his work. But and you see it here, this kind of love of life. And he talks about his own childhood, how it was kind of magical. He couldn't tell where his imagination stopped and reality begins. And you see that in the movie. This movie is maybe almost like a dream or a memory from young Alexander's perspective. Like, is this stuff really happening, or is he imagining it? Because it gets really dark and powerful there, but it might be some kind of hallucination, you know? So it really captured that magical viewpoint of a young person.
But it also has the visual aspects of Vincent Minnelli to it. I mean, everything, the details of all of that with the colors and the
beautiful decor,
mixtures.
Just
and a great cast.
Impeccable. And again, a cast that's not exactly what you would expect. You know, I think it was written, the matriarch of the family, I think that was originally written for Ingrid Bergman, but she wasn't well, I think. And then maybe Liv Ullmann would have played the mom, and she didn't. And Max von Sydow would probably be, you know, the bishop, and he didn't. None of them are in there. So, but that's kind of nice. It has no baggage. You know, you don't really know these actors. They're big in Sweden, but you didn't, internationally, they weren't as well known, except Erland Josephson, I guess. But, you know, it works. It pulls you that much more into this kind of dreamlike
Are you a big fan of European films?
Certainly, yeah. Yeah, just all films, but, you know, they're very influential, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look. Here it is, a true gem, selected by this month's guest programmer, Richard Linklater. From 1982, Fanny and Alexander.